if you're wanting to bring in part of your source image but not your entire image. So previously we've dragged and dropped our images in, or we've selected the whole canvas to bring it in. But in the case of our vegetables, I know that I'm going to make this particular poster for a farmer's market. So I don't actually need all of the vegetables. I'm only going to use a couple of them. In this case, I know I want to use my pumpkin, one of the ears of corn, and the radish. And the rest of them, I'm not actually going to end up using. So instead of going up and selecting all, I just want to select part of it. So I'm going to go and I'm going to change my tool. And so here we've got all of our tools on the side, same as we did in Illustrator. And so the second tool down is the marquee tool. And the marquee tool will allow me to make a selection, as it says, in the shape of a rectangle, and to just pull that part out. If I'm in the marquee tool and something's already selected and I want to deselect, just click anywhere that isn't currently highlighted. Now, like the tools in Illustrator, a lot of them have these little corner triangles, and then you click and hold down, you can get the other tools that are inside of it. So if I wanted a circle, I can use the elliptical marquee, and then there's a single row, both horizontal and vertical. But I'm just going to use the regular rectangle marquee, and so I can click and kind of drag out a rectangle, and as you can see, I select a different area. So that's actually bigger than I want, so as I mentioned, I can just click anywhere that isn't currently highlighted. I can let go of it. So I know I want this pumpkin here, I want this middle ear of corn, and I want this radish. The rest of it don't really need. So I want to make my rectangle, make sure I get everything that I want, and there's some extra stuff, but I'm going to show you how you can then use the marquee and some different parts of the selection in order to not get the pieces that you don't want. So anyways, right now I'm just going to select this area, making sure I have everything that I want in it. Then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to copy, and I'm going to go back over into the tab that has my poster and it has my paper background, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paste. So now I've got my pumpkin, I've got my corn, I've got my radish, but I got a bunch of stuff I don't want too. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change my tool back to my move tool because I want to move it so that I can see the edge here. And I'm going to want to kind of get rid of some of this extra stuff so that I'm just left with my pumpkin, my corn, and my radish. So there's a few ways I can do that. Now I can select the pieces I don't want. So like right here, I can see I've got this little edge here. I don't want it. So I'm using the rectangle marquee to just select that. I hit delete on my keyboard and I can do the same thing. But as you can see, it's kind of hard to get exactly. I'm going to go ahead and I want to zoom in a bit. So that is Command and plus, or you can do it from view up here. Because you can see I'm kind of getting the edge of the pumpkin here. Now if I move my cursor into that selected area, so again if I click outside of where it's selected, it deselects. If I've got a box here and I want to move this selection, I can move it by clicking inside the box and then dragging it. So okay, I've got this little piece here I don't want, and I'm no longer going to delete part of my pumpkin. Hit delete. Okay, awesome. I can also go in and use their different other kinds of selections. So there's a polygonal lasso tool, and if I click and hold, you can see there's a lasso and a magnetic lasso. I like the polygon because it allows me to kind of click and select another point, and I can kind of see what I'm doing, and each time I'm clicking it just lays down another, it locks like an anchor point. So I know I want to delete all of this stuff, so I'm just going to go ahead, make a little shape, almost like I did when I was making a shape in Illustrator. Once I have the part selected I want to get rid of, again, I just hit delete on my keyboard. Now again, just like in the marquee tool, if you select outside, it will deselect. So I've got my pumpkin, and I'm pretty happy with my pumpkin. Now I'm going to go back to move. I got my pumpkin. Now I need to get rid of the stuff above my corn here, and this kind of pickly thing here. So I'm going to go back over to the selection tool, and by default you're going to have up here, it's just this little square. So what that means is that when I make my selection, going around, selecting around my corn, again, that little circle next to the shape of the lasso, that tells me that I'm closing my shape, and now we've got the little like kind of shimmery around my object. Now I want to delete that, but I also want to delete this stuff. And you see, okay, again, as I said, when I click outside my area, it deselects and starts a new lasso for me. I want to delete all this stuff in one go, and I don't want to have to keep making new ones. I can change the type of selection that I'm making up at the top here. So see how it says, as I kind of hover over it, it gives me my tooltip. That's add to selection. That is going to be subtract from selection. So I'll show you subtract first, because right here you can see I've got more than I need. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go, I don't need to delete that area, and whoop, it made it smaller. But what I really want to do is I want to add to my selection. So now you can see that my lasso has got this little plus next to it. That tells me that instead of starting a new marquee selection, I'm just going ahead and I'm adding to it. So now you can see I've got 2 areas that are highlighted. And I also want to get rid of these cucumbers and whatever leaf that is. And I just want to delete all of you guys in one go. Yeah, okay. So now I've got those 3 and delete. They're all gone. And that makes me very happy. Now, remember, I want to deselect, but I'm still in adding to tools. So I'm just making a new area to select. I don't want that. So I can either go up to select, deselect, or I can go ahead and just change my mode back to whenever I click, I make a new selection. And now I'm going to go ahead and change back over to the move tool, because I'm happy and I've got the 3 pieces that I want pulled out separate already, and they're all on their own.